Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
Something like that.
I got you, baby.
We're completely off the rails already, and we're just starting. Welcome to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. It is
Can you hit the
March 10th, episode 176. We're having a conversation about karaoke because apparently I'm the only one in the room that's heard of Maroon 5. So
no, we've heard of Maroon 5. How could we not have heard Maroon 5?
I'm the only one that knows a song by Maroon 5.
True.
That's how I would say that is me knowing them. But anyway,
you know them better.
I know them better than you guys do. I don't know how you don't know, Payphone, Sugar, Move Like Jagger, all those.
Honey, honey.
Na 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 na.
I love
You're
Maroon
my
5.
candy girl. Is that the Monkees? The Archies.
The Archies, yeah.
That was the Archies.
Sugar.
Anyway, Don Harris, Chuck Miketinac, Matt Roy on tap. What's up, guys? How was the weekend?
Excellent.
Good. Really good.
No, without issue?
Free of incident.
Free of incident. You know what I had to do?
Oh, God, what?
I had to go to that waste dump on Bitters, by the Wetmore, and drop off paint.
It's some paint that you wanted to get rid of in the garage?
No, that my wife made me.
On Wetmore?
Yeah,
Where's that at?
It's kind of near
That's like
Wetmore.
where I live.
Yeah,
there's a
Wurzbach Parkway.
nice dump there. They make it really easy for you to offload Bozak that may be
Nice dump
Styling.
there.
I had to wait in line a
your
long
garage.
time. It was a popular thing to do, I guess. But they take it right out of your car.
Take the dump right out of your car. Nice.
Yeah, paint.
Well, that's a great weekend activity.
I know. It's one of those dad things, right? You got to do.
I went golfing yesterday, which is why my complexion matches my shirt.
How much money did Jonathan Martinez take
None.
from you?
We were on the same team.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
We played against a couple other buddies of mine. One of them is a scratch, not a scratch golfer, but he's just really good. He's like a 7 handicap, and so we were all kind of rallying to beat him, so we still didn't do it, but whatever. Anyway, got a lot going on today, guys. New deal for Dallas, actually, as we're coming in. Long snapper Trent Sieg has now been signed by the Dallas Cowboys.
Never heard of him.
He's the long snapper. Of course, you haven't heard of him.
Nice
Where's he from?
German man.
He was on the team last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's re-signed.
Anyway,
so we're going to De'Aaron Fox and the Spurs lost 2 games since we last spoke. One of them was the homecoming in Sacramento. Talk about that a little bit. Plus, probably seen the most of De'Aaron Fox that we will see this season. He says he's probably could have surgery next week when they go to LA on his finger. So we'll talk about that as well. Plus, free agency is a fever pitch right now, guys. It's like every 10 minutes another deal is signed or agreed to terms in this negotiating window, the legal tampering window. I'm going to give Bob 2 minutes to rant about Myles Garrett a little bit later as well, so you're going to want to see that because I'm sure you have plenty to say on that one.
$41 million will make you change your mind.
Change a lot of minds. Make you not think about any championship that you ever wanted to win and just think about the $40 million that are going to be in your pocket.
You heard that Flacco's coming back. So
oh, God. So we'll talk about that, what the Myles Garrett deal means for Micah Parsons, what are the Cowboys doing, and what we want them to do. We'll start with the Spurs today. So they lost to the Kings pretty handily on Friday, lost to the Timberwolves also pretty handily last night. Don, you start off. De'Aaron Fox in Sacramento, what did you think of the whole homecoming, the way that the fans treated him, all that stuff?
his first few touches, they were booing him, but then midway through the first quarter, during a timeout, they played a video tribute, and they all stood and cheered, and he waved, and it was really nice and very classy looking, like something the Spurs would do. And so he played decently, didn't have his best game, but it was nice. He's been there 7 years, and I think they showed a lot of class.
Yeah, I agree. Chuck?
I echo that.
Yeah.
I mean, about what I expected, right? I mean, everybody kind of got what they wanted, right? I mean, De'Aaron got to go to another team, and the Kings are playing pretty well.
It sucks, too, though, because he made his first shot, and then it was just horrible. He could not throw the ball in an ocean on Friday. He made the joke after the game, I haven't been able to shoot in 2 weeks. So it's weird. You come to the Spurs, you can't shoot anymore.
That your hands jacked up.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been playing pretty good, though. He played good again last
I'm not saying, the ball was not falling for him, though.
Yeah.
The ball wasn't falling for a lot of them on Friday, but he's been dealing with that pinky on his shooting hand. So after the game, I think it was Tom Orsborn that asked him about when he's going to get his finger taken care of, and this is what De'Aaron Fox had to say after the game.
Yeah, we're shooting for, I think whenever we're in LA, because the doctor's in LA, so it makes it a lot easier. What is that, like 9 days? Something like that. The surgery may or may not happen that day.
So this is the makeup game that they weren't able to play earlier in the season because of the LA fires. They're going to LA. That's where the surgeon and doctor is for De'Aaron Fox. And so when they go play the Lakers, that might be the last time we see De'Aaron Fox this season.
Fine. That's good.
Is it good?
Yeah. I don't want him to make the play-in. I want more lottery chances.
His left pinky, though, I mean, you saw it when he had it up on his face. I mean, he looks like a defensive lineman with that finger. He's been through the ringer.
Who is the lineman, Munoz, with the finger that like wouldn't go straight anymore? He could make a fist, but after that, it was like that.
There's a lot of guys
That's what it
like
looks like.
Bob's got one.
Ew.
Bob's got one. I had him on my radio show 20 years ago, and he was in studio. And
Munoz?
Yeah, and it was a right angle.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It was crazy.
Let's get that thing fixed after all these years, right?
So you obviously two in favor of him having the surgery now and kind of bagging the season, or
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the timeline is on something like that or what the recovery. Obviously, the sooner he gets it done. Well, I know that, but I'm talking about for next season.
Oh, yeah.
So if you get it done now, then obviously, the quicker you get it done, the quicker you're going to be ready for next season. But, is this one of those things you can wait till the end of the year? I mean, he's obviously done a very good job of playing through this or trying to play through it, given the limitations of a banged-up hand. So, I guess if this is what they decide as a group, or if he decides this as a player, then that's the way they should go.
I mean, I just hate when you have a month left in the season, you're just like, meh, we'll do it next year. It's just got to be so frustrating for fans of the Spurs to be like, you know what, this is a lost year too. Let's pick it up again in next September,
I don't feel that way. I think the Spurs have always been strategic. I think if you go back and look at the Wemby lottery, they were strategic. I think Chuck and I remember 97. They were very strategic in trying to get lottery balls for Tim Duncan. Wink, wink. Oh, Avery's hurt. Sean's hurt. Vinny's hurt. So I think this is just another way to make sure that you get 2 more L's that may make a huge difference in the calculation.
But I mean, it is another lost season. Like, what did you really? If I was to ask you, what did the Spurs accomplish this season? What would be the answer?
I think the answer would be the emergence of Steph Castle. I think it shows you, and the trade for De'Aaron Fox, it shows you that they have 2 more legitimate pieces. When we started this season, they didn't have Steph Castle or De'Aaron Fox. We had not seen Steph Castle play a minute. He's gone from a rookie with potential to a guy playing like a 5-year vet who's putting up 20 a game almost every night now, who is bullying 6- and 7-year pros, who looks like a 5-year pro. And Fox looks great. He's a closer. We've seen in flashes and in some games, he's the closer of the future. So now you have 3 legitimate all-star caliber players. I'm not saying they're going to be all-stars, but Wemby is, Fox has been, and Castle has the potential. To me, that's really been the encouraging part. The wins didn't come as much as we thought they would. Of course, we had Wemby's injury, Pop situation, all that. But, man, I'm optimistic when I look at the future with that threesome.
Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag, right? Because I think there was a lot of hope. And I think this team, they won more games than last year's team, right? So there has been improvement.
I mean,
but not to the degree, I think, that we thought. I mean, for most of the season, and even as we sit here today, they're still within striking distance with, 20 games left to go of the play-in spot. So they're not that far away. They're also, if you do that math, 4 or 5 games, they'd have gotten those games. How close would they be to the 6th seed, right? I mean, so there's not that much difference. However, yes, it is aggravating. I would agree with you, Matt, that as we sit here today, if there's a month left to go and now we're talking about shutting down another player, that, so what are we supposed to do for the next month? Do you want me to be engaged? Do you want me to be following? Do you want me to be tracking? And, there's probably going to be other things like cutting the grass that I could be doing.
Yeah, I mean, my point is, like, at some point you have to try and win. And too often over the last 3 years, and before Wemby, it was like, okay, well, what are we doing anyway? Too often it seems like, okay, we'll just push it off one more year. We'll try and compete next year. We're going to learn this year, and we're going to try and win next year. It seems like that is happening too often. And when they wave the white flag this time, obviously De'Aaron Fox needs the surgery, whether it's now or in the offseason, regardless. So when you're waving the white flag with a month left, it doesn't send the best message to your fan base.
I think it's circumstances, right? Because tell me if I'm wrong, but at some point, maybe it was late December, when we were saying, man, they've already got 22 wins. They were way ahead of schedule.
They were 19 and 18 at one point.
Yeah, and they were thinking playoffs, and everything was going great. And then you had Wemby and or the rodeo road trip where they had back-to-back 1-point losses when they got Fox.
Orlando and
they beat Atlanta, right? And
then lost to Orlando.
Charlotte.
Yeah, and Charlotte.
And those were 2 game-winning shots. You know, Fox's went in, but it was late.
Yeah, by like a quarter second.
And then Wemby missed a 15-foot elbow. That, to me, is when the season kind of changed, and then Wemby had his situation. But I don't think it was like a wave the white flag. I think once you lose Wemby, like even if you make the play-in, there's not a lot to hope for.
Yeah.
And then if Fox needs the surgery and you get it earlier, helps you a little bit in your rehab to work out with these guys in the summertime. I want to see them play hard. I want to see them play well. I want to see them keep losing 1-point games because I think I'm so encouraged with Castle, man. I will watch. Like, I watched all of last year just to watch Wemby because he was just can't miss TV. And I feel the same way about Castle right now. So I'm going to continue to watch and hope that the lottery balls pile up because now you got the Mavericks going for it. You got Tankathon in full mode now with other teams trying to get Cooper Flag. I don't think they have a shot at Cooper Flag, but even if you get Atlanta's pick and you get the 6 and 8, or you get 5 and 10.
To that point, right now, if the season ended right this second, they would have 9 and 14. And it's not a bad draft class. It's a very good draft class as opposed to last year. But when you're thinking, I have the 9th and the 14th pick, and this is a Cooper Flag draft, it's not getting anyone excited anymore. You know what I mean? Like, what is adding a 9th and a 14th pick to this roster going to do?
Dude, Jalen Williams of the Thunder was 12 or 15. You can get all-stars. Kawhi Leonard was 15. You can get all-stars at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. If you're good, if you're scouting.
Well, the Spurs also haven't proven lately that, and this is just in the last 5-6 years, that they can use those picks to make that happen. They've picked Devin Vassell, who is, jury's still out.
At 11,
Jeremy Sohan at 8, 9. Yeah.
See, they missed on Williams with Sohan. They picked Sohan over Williams. I think he went 3 picks later.
Williams out of the Thunder.
He's an all-star.
Yeah. For Jalen Williams.
Yeah, he had 40 the other night. He made the all-star team.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you have to hit on those picks. It's a lot harder to hit on picks at 9 and 14 than it is to pick at 1 and 2.
That still gives them 2 more first-round picks, and with the bundle that they already have, there's nothing to say that you couldn't bundle some of those picks and move up even further if the ping pong balls don't fall your way.
And you might get lucky with their luck. They'll be number 1 and 2.
Right.
I mean, with I think if you were trying to trade up, it would take literally all of the picks that the Spurs have plus 2 players to get up to Cooper Flag level. So
no, you're not
nobody's giving you number 1.
No. The only way you get Cooper Flag is if you get number 1. I don't think they're going to get Cooper Flag, but there's a lot of really good players.
Is Cooper Flag coming out?
Yeah,
I think so.
Sam Darnold just signed with the Seahawks.
Wow.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. We're going to get to the Geno Smith stuff here in a second, but let's hear from Mitch real quick. This is the site you used yesterday in Sports Sunday. This is Mitch talking about how nice it's been to have Fox in the building no matter how the season ends.
It's been a pleasure to see him, how comfortable he is in his own skin and confident and just kind of being him, whether that's talking to some of the young guys, interacting with staff, getting used to and comfortable with his role as it grows on our team and his presence. And it's going to have a ton of potential and runway. Obviously, he just got here not long ago. So it's been good to get to know him and his family, and very down-to-earth, young professional.
Are you laughing at Victor in the background on the computer? Oh, my bad. Thank you. Were you laughing at Victor on the computer in the background in the VO right there?
No.
What are you laughing at?
how I was giving QT a free commercial, so it turned my.
You were this entire time. It's fine. We like QT. Sneakers
Shout
and
out
Cleats
Taco
presented by
Palenque
QT.
for the water.
Taco Palenque is good too. I got Subway earlier, so I think that's the one thing that I am encouraged about. Not the one thing, but one of the things that I am encouraged about is that having Fox in the building, getting to know the guys, getting to kind of get acclimated with how he's going to play with Stephon Castle and with Devin Vassell and with Jeremy in the future. That's the part that I see as like the silver lining of all of this. Even if De'Aaron Fox shuts it down in a week, like that's the good thing. That's why you trade for him mid-season. Like even though you might be waving the white flag, so to speak, next week, at least you got a month and a half of practice in, and they get to practice all off season together. You get to kind of learn each other a little bit.
Okay, and we have to clarify this too. We're assuming that it's waving the white flag and tanking or whatever. He may have a very good medical opinion from that doctor that says it's better to do it now. So let's just throw that out there so that we're not being completely speculative.
Thank you for clarifying. Bob, anything before we go to the Cowboys and football?
A comment and a question from Texas Taurus. First, I thought you guys might want to comment on this. He says, I still feel bad for Bob Hill.
Oh,
For who?
gosh.
Bob Hill.
Oh,
Any comments on Bob Hill?
yeah, Bob Hill's a good man.
take it
He
away.
just
He's a
didn't
good
work
man.
out, but I like Bob Hill. Bob Hill was always good to us.
I
and
loved Bob Hill.
good guy.
I hate everyone named Bob.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Took him in the way back machine though.
Then he asks, is it possible Wemby is done with basketball?
No,
It's impossible.
impossible. The fact, Chuck and I talked about this last night, the fact that he's flying on these trips just squashes some of that internet speculation because there was so much speculation, when he got hurt about Chris Bosh and all these different kind of people and what is thrombosis and all this. It shows you that it was exactly what the Spurs said it was, that it was a caused blood clot. It wasn't something that's in his anatomy, right? Like Marfan syndrome or some of these things that happen naturally because of your body and your what's the word?
Anatomical.
Anatomic makeup. It's like atomic makeup.
I don't know.
He's the
I don't know
bomb.
Atomic
words.
Tommy.
Wemby's the bomb.
Shout out to Atomic Tommy.
Jesus.
But and I told you guys when it happened, I have a little bit of experience with this because my son suffered the same exact thing: right shoulder, deep vein thrombosis, blood clot caused by an athletic injury. And I think that's what it's clear Wemby has, because if flying caused these things with his anatomy, he wouldn't be on these road trips. So I don't think there's anything to worry about.
It was encouraging to see him in Sacramento, especially because he wanted to be there for De'Aaron
And
Fox.
Minnesota.
Yeah. I do love seeing like all the guys go together to these things. You saw everyone, even De'Aaron Fox, right after he was traded, go to Devin Vassell's jersey retirement at his high school in Georgia. You see Wemby making the trip to Sacramento, even though he's got no chance of playing. He still wants to be with this team. So I like how close they all seem, at least.
Wonder if
when it comes to
Kawhi
this.
Leonard was watching.
Anyway,
Shout out Kawhi Leonard.
let's shift over to the Cowboys and the NFL. So I want to start with Bob. Domino fell of the offseason. We've been hearing for weeks that Myles Garrett wants to be traded, and instead he gets a 4-year, $160 million extension with the Browns. And this comes right after he said, I don't really care about the money. I want to win Super Bowls. And now he's signed with the Browns. You got any thoughts?
Well, $41 million, right? So that makes the big difference. But some of the speculation is that the market for defensive ends isn't what he thought it would be with the overflow of people out there. And he didn't think maybe that he would make as much as he was expecting to make. And then if he went through the whole holdout and everything else situation, he'd lose a bunch of money that way too. So the thinking in Cleveland is that he saw the market, didn't look like the way it looked, and decided to stay.
But didn't this come right after he was like, Jimmy Haslam was like, I don't want to talk to you.
well,
The owner of the Browns was like, I'm not meeting with you. You're on our team.
That's actually no one talks to him. That's part of the hierarchy of the team. And if you were to do that, then why won't you do that to other players? You know what I mean? It's That's been since he's owned the team. That's been the way it's been.
Well, it just seems like Myles Garrett's kind of full of crap because he talked a big game and then he was just like, give me
You
more
know
money.
what? Let's give the man some grace. 123 mil guaranteed at his age. He's a heck of a performer. He's earned the right to change his mind on this one.
I would criticize him if he didn't.
I want to see the news story. He turned down the largest contract for a non-quarterback in NFL history so he could try and win a Super Bowl someplace else.
123 mil guaranteed.
Put
Guaranteed.
Put it in the account.
How many times?
Guaranteed.
What does Charles Barkley say? Guaranteed.
How many times have we said, "Oh my gosh, that guy turned down this money and then bet on himself and then lost and didn't get"?
Well, he's not Dennis Schroeder or like whoever, like he's Myles Garrett. He was going to get paid next year regardless. Khalil Mack just made $18 million a year, and he's a shell of his former self.
Yeah.
So
the old saying is, if somebody offers you $123 million, take it.
where do I sign?
That's the old saying.
Where do I sign? If anyone wants to give me $123 million, I'll sign. Anyway, so my first thought was Myles Garrett's full of crap. My second thought was immediately to Micah Parsons because we look at things through blue and silver colored glasses here. And I don't know between this deal and the Max Crosby deal, which was about $36.5 million a year, I don't know which deal is going to be more emblematic of Micah. However, I am a little afraid that this just set the market at a point where the Cowboys are going to be forced to pay $40 million a year to a Micah Parsons.
37.5, 38. He'll get somewhere in between those two guys. You know, Cleveland can make the argument, or the Cowboys can make the argument that Myles Garrett is a proven all-pro, and so is Micah. Micah's got more years left, but Micah also hurt himself when he said, I don't have to be the highest paid player, I want to win. So I think, and I don't think Micah would have a problem with getting somewhere in the ballpark without having to go over what Garrett got.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but he did say, I don't have to make $40 million a year. I can make, what's the difference between $30 million and $40 million a year? He has said that. Obviously, when somebody gets the $40 million, though, maybe that changes the dynamic. But the Cowboys have leverage here, too. I mean, there's nothing that would preclude them from not signing him and franchise him for 2 years.
That's
so
right.
He's technically could be on the books for 3 more years. So his camp has to look at that, too. So if the Cowboys want to come to him and say, hey, let's do 31, 32, let's do 5 years, we'll give you $120 million guaranteed up front, maybe that changes the ballpark.
Well, I mean, with all these deals, it seems like everyone wants to beat somebody at something. So it's like, even if they only have him for let's call it 4 years and 150, or 5 years, 150, and so it's $30 million a year, he's still going to want 123.5 guaranteed to beat Myles Garrett's guarantee. So I could see something like that happening, but I am a little concerned that Jerry is once again going to wait until someone else gets another deal, and it's going to be $42 million a year, and then we're going to have to talk, okay, well, now Micah's going to get 42.5. And we haven't seen anything to dissuade any Cowboys fan from thinking that that's going to happen again.
Yeah, Jerry, I mean, typically he doesn't mind waiting to see where are the calls. But at the same time, Jerry's lost money over the few times because the longer he waited, the market kept going up on Dak. So we'll see. What I find interesting is that there was talk, and I don't know how true it was, but there was talk with how cap-strapped they are that they were entertaining the idea of at least kicking around the office. What would it look like if we moved this guy for draft picks? And I don't think it ever got serious because Micah's such a great player. I think they want him on their team. But I got a buddy in Dallas who said any idea of the Cowboys moving Micah for draft picks was flushed down the toilet the day Luka got traded.
Because they saw the outrage?
Okay. Yes.
Seriously?
Absolutely. And Jerry knows that his popularity has never been lower except maybe the day he fired Tom Landry. The faith in the front office has never been lower in the last 30 years.
That makes sense.
So, the last thing you're going to do is do what the Mavericks did.
Okay, well, let's just say this. Let's say they sign Micah to – I think they should trade him, but that's a whole other discussion. Let's say they sign Micah to 37. That means between him and CeeDee Lamb, that's 70. Dak, another 60. So you got $130 million on the books between 3 players. Osa Odigizua just made 20, so you got $150 million on the books between 4 players. You got about $130 million to fill out the rest of your roster. Is that a way that you're going to build this team? Or
Well, it's the way they have, but there are ways with Micah too. You can backload his deal to put, the contract, the bulk of the contract at the back end by paying him up front, and so you can kind of kick the can down the road again. But yeah, I mean, this is their dynamic. This is their challenge every single year now with this.
it's what they tend to do as well, because I mean, even Zach Martin is going to count against this cap for like $10, $12 million, something like that, because they add void years to the end of the deal to stretch out the money on the contract to have more room under the cap, which we heard all last year from Jerry. You got to pay the credit card bill at some point. And that's what paying the credit card bill looks like was last year when you don't sign anybody, because you have all of these backloaded contracts that are finally coming due.
Yeah, with the roster, the Cowboys have a Visa card with 35% interest that they're not paying off every month.
Well, I mean, how they plan these contracts too is like they already restructured Dak and CDs, and they're less than a year old. Like they're 6 months into those contracts, and they organized them in a way to where they were built to be restructured, so they could free up this money. But when you get to the fourth year of that deal, there's no more restructuring that deal. You're going to have to pay $90 million against your cap.
Dak's sitting back smoking a cigar, going, "They just converted $56 million to a signing bonus. That went right into the bank last weekend."
Is that direct deposit, or is
direct deposit?
Someone showing up with some duffel bags of cash in his room?
Direct deposit, man.
Well, and also, if they work this deal right, and I think they will with talking about Parsons, they can free up even more cap money for this year. So
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
sitting right
That's
now
why I think they need to get that done.
roughly about the same amount of cap dollars as the Texans do. So they're not in horrible shape going in. I think we've talked about this too. It's like, just what are they doing for next year with all this money that they now have to go spend?
Right. If
To
they
this
have 50,
point,
they have 52 right now, and if they re-sign Micah, that'll lower it. Or they'll get them to like 65, 70, somewhere around there. You have to figure, okay, where's that money going? What are we doing with
Is he
$70
going to
million?
spend it, or is Jerry going to put it in his pocket? Because he's talking about, Steven said selectively aggressive. Jerry said
Not aggressive.
Not aggressive. And he said, quote, "We don't have any voids on our team that can't be filled outside of free agency."
Only got like
in the
six
draft.
or 7 picks. You can't fill all the voids like that.
He thinks so?
You just lost Jordan Lewis. It's
Right.
Breaking news. Jordan Lewis, 3 years, $30 million, highest paid nickel cornerback in the league now with the Jacksonville Jaguars. You just signed Marquise Bell. So you have Marquise Bell back. You have your long snapper taken care of. So that's the most important thing here.
So, I think going in, like just talking about Jordan Lewis, I think they wanted to re-sign him, right? I don't think they made him an offer. I think they were willing to let him test and go and see if he could find a deal. To his credit, he found a suitor that's giving him a 3-year contract. I don't think the Cowboys, given Jordan's age, wanted to go that far. But, man, make no mistake, that's going to be a key cog
Yeah.
that they're going to be missing out on next year. Not only as player, but dude in the room and toughness and everything else.
That's gonna be a guy like Kalen Carson's gonna have to step up in that slot role, and you need Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland to be healthy. You can't, because you're gonna have to pay Deron Bland next. If Trayvon Diggs isn't healthy, then you're just paying $20 million to do nothing.
You're going to find with Dak's money, Micah's money, CD's money, that there's going to be the Deron Blands of the world that they have to let walk out the door.
Yeah, and Deron Bland could be like a one-hit wonder. I mean, you have six pick sixes in one season. That's not going to happen every year. It's never happened before in the history of the league.
No, but what a wonder. I mean,
it was
he's
pretty
been
great.
damn good. When he's on the field, he's pretty damn good.
Well, it's the same with Trayvon Diggs, right? He had that
Yep.
one great season with 10 picks, and then since then he's either been injured or he's been getting burned because he's trying to replicate that kind of season.
We don't know how he's going to be coming back off this injury.
Right. So some other quick headlines before we get out of here around the league. Josh Allen is a very rich man.
330?
And I was going to say on and off the field, beautiful fiance, and $330 million that he's 6 years, $330 million, now the highest paid player in the history.
How much
of the
is
league.
guaranteed? Like 265?
$250 was guaranteed. Just here's a check, $250 million. So that was pretty crazy. DK Metcalf gets traded to the Steelers, second-round pick, and he gets a 5-year, $150 million deal. You guys think of the Steelers? I mean, they don't have a quarterback right now, but they have a decent wide receiver room with him and Pickens. If not a disgruntled wide receiver room.
And if you look at Aaron Rodgers' numbers, I mean, for as much hate as he got last year, the numbers weren't horrible.
No.
His completion percentage wasn't great.
Well, he was
in
throwing
the
he was
mid-60s.
throwing dinks and dunks down the field.
Right. But
I don't. Did you see Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers coexisting?
I don't know.
You put Mike Tomlin in charge of a locker room that has DK Metcalf, George Pickens, and Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to want to out by midseason. Like, what a locker room that would be. Geno Smith gets traded to the Raiders from the Seahawks, and now the Seahawks make a subsequent move by signing Sam Darnold. So I think we came into this offseason thinking Sam Darnold was going to go to the Raiders. But once they traded Geno, obviously Pete Carroll there now wanted his former quarterback. Now Sam Darnold goes to reunite with Clint Kubiak up in Seattle. So interesting move there.
Darnold was in Minnesota just 1 year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, because they have J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, but they had a great year.
Yeah, until like the last two weeks of the season.
Great system.
System quarterback.
Yeah.
He should have gone back to New York. Gone back to the Jets. That's where he saw ghosts, right? And then your boy, Devontae Adams, on the Rams now.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit of a surprise. I was hoping that maybe the Packers would try to get him back, but
Two years, $46 million for a 32-year-old, 33-year-old receiver.
Is Cooper Kupp staying there?
No, he's going to be out probably. They're probably going to cut him or trade him soon. But I just thought that was interesting. I thought that was an interesting move. 2 years, $46 million.
Cowboys could use Cooper Kupp.
Cowboys could use a lot of guys. Do they want to pay?
Cooper Kupp, he's been banged up most of the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Banged up Cooper Kupp? Nice.
Yeah.
See what you did there. Anything else?
I don't know.
Anything else we guys got
One
on
question going back to the Cowboys. Robert Smith had. Let me pull it up here. Do the Cowboys do anything to address the O-line? I think that is the most important problem.
There's I'm going to kick myself for not knowing his name. There's a guard that it's the Colts right guard that's a free agent right now that I really, really want them to sign. And for some reason, I was just looking at it in the other room. I can't remember his name. But they need to make moves on the offensive line. Like, you're not going to rely on Terrence Steele to have a bounce back year. You're not going to rely on Cooper Beebe to move over or another rookie up front. Tyler Guyton needs to take a step up as well. But you need somebody up there. You need an adult in the room at this point.
And if tomorrow they sign that guy or somebody like him for 3 years, $30 million, the exact same money as Jordan Lewis, I say money well spent.
100%.
Even though I don't hate to see Jordan Lewis get out the room, I think that's a bigger need.
I'm out on the Cowboys offensive line. I think they played really well when Brock Hoffman got in there, so they could certainly use some more depth. You can never have too many offensive linemen.
Isn't he restricted right now too, though? He's a restricted free agent.
I think they brought him back.
Did they? All right, yeah. I didn't see that.
Yeah, but I think they took care of all their restricted dudes.
All right. Well, that's all we got for you today on the Sneakers and Cleats
So
podcast.
hold me to it.
Remember, I'm holding you to it.
Okay.
It's feet to the fire. Download, rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, tell me. We'll be back on Thursday. We'll be back at 3:30 because we have some staffing things.
Because of Javier.
Yeah, Javier's big dummy. Anyway, we'll be back at 3:30. See you then.